In this video, I'm going to show you 5 steps to take any photos from good to bangers. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Josh here. I'm back again, and I have another video for you. I just released a quick Lightroom editing video, and it went really well. So what I want to do is I want to create another one, and this one's going to be for the beginner. But with that being said, these tips, these 5 steps, these beginner steps are what every photographer should be doing to their photo before they even try to put a creative spin on it. If you find this video helpful, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Just by hitting that subscribe button, it allows more people to see my videos. It pushes the algorithm. And yes, it might not mean that much to you, but every time I see my number go up, it means the world to me. Every time I check it and I see that number climbing, I just get the best feeling in the world. So thank you very much for taking your time and watching this video. So let's get into it and let's show you those 5 steps that every photographer, beginner, experienced, and everywhere in between should be doing on their photos every time they try to create a banger. Okay, so I got this picture here of Kiri. It's a natural light photo. I shot it at Shutterfest this past year in one of the floors, kind of lobby / private lounge areas, I guess you could call it. And we shot this photo, and I want to show you the 5 steps to take this photo. And I guess you could technically call it 6 if you wanted, but it's 5 steps, honestly, to take this photo from where it is right now and just give it that good, perfect, cleaned up, finished, polished look. The first thing that I'm going to do before we even get into this photo editing, though, is make sure you're shooting in RAW. It's very important that you shoot your photos in RAW. Go into your camera settings in the picture quality setting, set it to RAW. Please do that. If you're trying to edit JPEGs, you're going to have a hard time because they don't collect enough information to allow you to do what you need to do. So make sure you're always shooting in RAW. Most of the time I say uncompressed unless you have a new mirrorless camera that shoots like 62 megapixel like my A7R IV does, and it's just huge files. So you can shoot compressed RAW, but make sure you're shooting RAW because that collects enough information on the file, on the photo, to allow you to fully edit the photo when you get it into Lightroom. So now that we're into Lightroom, I'm going to talk about the official first step that we're going to do, and what that is it's cropping and straightening. This is very important to every photo, is you crop and you straighten your photo. And the way that you do that, it's real simple. You just hit this crop button right here, and we're just going to go to the edge here where it's like the circular guy or the moving guy, and I'm just going to turn it there. Now, you can see that this line is off, and that's okay because I'm going to crop it down from there because I also want to get rid of this chair that was sitting here. So what I'll do is I'll grab this corner and I'm going to bring it up just to the edge here, and we'll leave that in there. I'm perfectly fine with that. And what we'll do is we'll just hit enter. So now you can see I've already taken this photo from an okay photo to better just by cropping it. It has changed it that much. This is a simple step. It's really easy to crop and straighten your photos. You should be cropping and straightening all of your photos. I always suggest to shoot more and crop down, especially once again if you're using one of these new mirrorless cameras that has like megapixels on it. Yeah, and that's a term, megapixels. If you're shooting with one of these, you can crop down and still have a big file size, even if you're cropping to half. So don't worry about the crop really anymore, especially if you're on a newer camera. You want to be able to shoot so you can actually crop down to what you want to use. So now that we have the crop, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fix the white balance. Now, this is kind of creator artistic opinion, but what I always do is I always bring my white balance back and then change it to where I want it when I'm editing. So whatever color I want, I'll bring it there. Now, I always shoot shade as my white balance setting. I almost always shoot that unless I'm in a very blue area, and then I'll change it to something else. But I almost always shoot shade because my photos, I like a warm look to them. Now, with that being said, I want to show you how to easily come back to the correct white balance with 2 clicks. And what you're going to want to do, instead of actually moving this slider here and trying to find the white balance yourself, you're just going to grab this eyedropper and you're going to find an area that is supposed to be white. And I would say, like, now this is white, but I think this is going to be too bright for it to figure out. And what you'll do is you'll click it and it'll say that it cannot set it. You have to find an area that's darker natural. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select right in this area, because this shelf, or this edge of the windowsill that she was sitting on was white. So let's just go here and let's click it. And now you can see it has brought it back. Now it's brought it back a little too blue. So all you have to do now that you have the almost correct white balance, you just need to bring it back just a little and find that natural feel right there. So what I did is I brought it over with that eyedropper and then I moved it back. So that's your next step. So now you've done crop and straighten and you've done your white balance. The next thing you're going to do, number 3, is you're going to come all the way down, keep going. And you're going to want to do this lens correction. Now, for the most part, Lightroom's pretty good with this, and it can figure out, for the most part, what lens you're using. Now, some older lenses, it will not figure out. You'll have to kind of play with it. But for the most part, you're literally just going to hit Enable Profile Corrections right here, and it should figure out what lens you were using. Sigma, 85mm. And as you can see, what it's doing is it's straightening out that, what's the pin cushion distortion that's kind of pushing it out and making it look kind of bowed right here. And you can see it's bowed right here. So just hit this and that's going to straighten everything up. It's going to fix any barrel distortion that you may have. Now, if it does not find your lens, you can just go in here and figure out which lens you were using, and it should be on the list. If not, if you can't figure that out, let's say you just can't figure it out, you can just click whatever and it'll show something here, or it'll show like question marks, and then from there you can use these to figure out where you need to be. So that's the third step, is enabling profile corrections. It'll fix any sort of barrel distortion that you have going on. So we have crop and straighten, we have white balance, we have profile corrections, and number 4, what we're going to do is we're going to go back up here, and this is where we start getting a little artistic, and that's messing with the tones. So what we're going to do, first one, and I feel like not a lot of people use this enough, and it needs to be known, that contrast is a good thing. This allows your photo to get that crunchy punch of a deep, vibrant look. And I do this on a lot of photos. So you're just going to take your contrast and start bringing it up. And you can see that what this is doing is it's making this photo a lot more moody just by doing that. And I like that. Now, the other thing that I would do to this photo is I would bring my shadows up just a little, not that much, like just to there. And this is probably where this, let's actually go down a little bit more. I like that moodiness on that. This is probably where this photo would live with me. And this would be what I would do to this photo as far as editing, as far as a basic correction. I would bring the shadows up a little bit. I'd bring the contrast up. Now, with that being said, number 5 is probably one of the most important when you're trying to get one of those real moody looks to a photo, and that is using your tone curve. Now, I don't usually get into the red, green, and blue. I only use the white. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create what's called an S curve. Now, this line is just straight up and down, diagonal right now. And the way that you can explain it, this is your lows, this is your mids, and this is your highs. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll create a dot here on our lows. We'll create a dot on this vertical line right here in the middle on our mids. So basically you're seeing this rule of thirds thing here. And then we'll create a high. Now, from there, we're going to grab our lows and we're going to just start bringing it down. And we're going to basically see what it does. And what I'll do with it is I'll just bring it down to right about there. Not a lot. Then we'll go to our mids and we'll try to figure out what our mids is going to do. So from our mids, I'm just going to take it up just a little bit, right about there. And then our highs, same thing. You can see what your highs do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump my highs up to right about there. Now what you're seeing is it's creating an S. And to fully finish that S, you'll take your highs and you'll bring them down, and you'll take your lows and you'll bring them up. So now you have created a fully artistically designed photo with an S curve and the tone curve. And what it's done is it's allowed that even more moody look to this photo. And you probably don't realize what those 5 steps have done until you do something like this and you start over and you look at the photo and you say, that was a good photo, but that's a banger. That's how you do it. Those are the 5 steps that every photographer should be using to get started in their editing. I'm going to give you a bonus tip. It's actually technically 2 bonus tips. I know I gave you a bonus at the beginning. This is more bonuses. A little goes a long way when it comes to editing photos. So remember that you don't have to go overboard with your edits. You don't have to make everything look plastic and weird. Just a little goes a long way. You can see that I really didn't do much to this photo to create something that looks really freaking good. Another thing that I always say, and this is the final bonus that I'm going to give you, is sometimes you just need to leave it alone. And what I mean by that is if you feel like you've taken it too far and you're just stumped on what to do with a photo, just leave it alone. Walk away for 5 minutes, come back to it with a fresh set of eyes. It's really important to be able to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish editing this photo and I'm going to show you the final version with even more cleanup done to it and taking out some of the distractions, and it's on the screen right now. So this is the final photo and next to the original photo. So once again, if this helped you, I would really appreciate a subscribe, a thumbs up, a comment. All of those things really help me. And I do watch every one of them. And every time I get one, it's just the greatest feeling in the world. So once again, thank you. If you want to go deeper into editing, deeper into learning business of photography, and just learning how to be a better photography business or photographer, consider joining the Photog Nation. Link is in the description down below. It's my private online academy and community where I help one-on-one photographers grow in not only the editing, but the shooting and the photography business side of things, as far as marketing, social media interactions, how to get more clients, and a little bit of everything in between. Consider joining. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you again for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.